How many jobs are you missing every week because people can't find you online? Even the best trades business won't grow if your website and Google Business Profile aren't visible, optimized, and built to convert. I'm Barry, and I help UK trades businesses like yours appear at the top of search results and turn clicks into real jobs. This month, I'm giving away 10 free website and GBP audits. No charge, no catch, just the insights you need to start winning more local jobs. Book a free consultation now. calendly.com/siteace.
Hello, everybody. I hope you've really enjoyed your weekend. I hope you're all ready for a long and very interesting show that we've got for you tonight. Let's, without further ado, get into it. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm WarrenThornton.com. We should be being joined by Lembit Opik at some stage this evening. We're looking forward to him coming along very shortly. Now, very, very simply, there's been a heck of a lot going on. I don't know if you've managed to catch up with some of the insights we did on the Israel lobby. Not only America, obviously, we showed you the English one, but also on our Patreon, we've also shown you the American lobby one, which is over 3 hours long. So if you sat through that and managed to get it all down, well done you. That's all I can say. There is a lot on this, I'm afraid, because, of course, we're starting to find a massive fallout. Now, what's happening? Well, I'm glad you watched it, Vicky. I hope you enjoyed it. We're starting to see a massive fallout when it comes to the release of the Epstein files. We've got Marjorie Taylor Greene, Donald Trump starting to have a bit of a row. We've got, very, very simply, we've got, how can I put this as nicely as possible? Thomas Massey now being attacked. And of course, we've got Trump now saying, first of all, there are hopes and now they're going to be, released. Well, if there are hopes, why are they being released? But that's beside the point. But we've got the Democrats and the Republicans basically using these as a tool to bash each other. The Democrats have used these to literally smear Trump left, right, and centre. And I will say from the outset now, there is no actual evidence of him doing anything wrong. But he does have to come out and talk about it. And he does have to release the Epstein files. And the more that you try and stop that happening, the more you're going to have mud thrown at you. It is going to happen. And of course, now Trump is turning around and saying, right, let's have all the evidence about the Clintons and various others. Well, let's get into some of it. We did promise you that when we finished our investigation, we're going to show you and talk about the law. Well, what we're going to do is give you a glimpse of that tonight, just how much work has got to go into that in giving out all of these files, because these files are, and all the evidence and everything else, not easy, but we will be doing it, and we're going to give you a glimpse tonight of just how much work that entails. Let's have a look at Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has lost Donald Trump's endorsement.
Ask you about something you posted just yesterday on X. You questioned who and what country is putting so much pressure on Trump to keep the Epstein files hidden. And you included a picture about donations from pro-Israel lobbying group AIPAC. What are you trying to say there?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's the question that many Americans are asking, especially when we saw information recently come out in these emails that the Oversight Committee that I serve on has released. And we saw Jeffrey Epstein with ties to Ehud Barak. We saw him making business deals with them, also business deals that involved the Israeli government, and seems to have led into their intel agencies. And I think the right question is to ask is, was Jeffrey Epstein working for Israel? And I'm proud to say I don't take money from AIPAC. I don't take money from any special group of people. I'm just representing my district and the American people. And so that's what I was referring to.
So there we are. There's Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm just promoting Lembit here. There's Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course, who is, shall we say, under the cosh now from Donald Trump. We will have Lembit with us in a minute. But as I say, Marjorie Taylor Greene, under the cosh from Donald Trump, for just repeatedly digging away. Now, a bit of a row has broken out between the two of them. Welcome, Lembit. How are you?
Hello. Very well, thank you. Better than some people that you've already mentioned.
Yes, absolutely. And we're going to get into that a little bit because it has become very, very unseemly. And the reason it's become unseemly is because they don't seem to be able to agree on what should and shouldn't come out.
Just want to be clear. Are you saying Israel is pushing the president of the United States to cover up the Epstein files? And what evidence do you have that that is the case?
I simply just asked out loud, is there a foreign government? It could be any foreign government, but is a foreign government pushing to keep this covered up? Because people just don't understand the big fight against.
Well, you had AIPAC up there. It was pretty clear which government you were talking about.
That I'm questioning that government in particular and questioning any other foreign government.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Marjorie Taylor Greene, we're going to get into a couple more videos as well. Marjorie Taylor Greene, obviously, Trump has decided that he doesn't like her anymore. This is Trump on Epstein on Air Force One.
Sir, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Congresswoman, was on CBS News. She was talking about how the files should be released. We anticipate that a vote will happen in the House. I know you about the investigation today.
I don't care about it, released or not. What I think you should do, if you're going to do it, then you have to go into Epstein's friends. This Reid Hoffman spent a lot of time on the island. I was never on his island. Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. You're going to have to look into his friends, because if they're going to do that, then I think the perfect guy to do it would be Southern District, somebody like Jay Clayton. I understand that's who's been assigned.
So there's that, of course, and we've got one more for you to look at. Then we're going to get Lembit's opinion on this, because, of course, this is getting very, very silly. And, of course, lots and lots of people are saying, oh, it's not true. Now, do be aware of I've shown you this before, but this is Megyn Kelly and, shall we say, a committed Zionist trying to deflect from this as well.
As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it kiddie porn, now they call it child sexual abuse material, on his computer, that for the first time I thought, oh no, he was an actual pedophile. I mean, only a pedophile gets off on young children abuse videos. She's never clarified it. I don't know whether it's true. I have to be honest, I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10, I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. Look, you can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. You know, it's just whatever.
Lambert, pedophilia is pedophilia, isn't it? Whether it's 5, 15 or 13. And they're a 13-year-old.
No, there's a technical complication here. And she's arguing a technical point. In some countries, well, different countries have different ages of consent. And as such, you could argue that something which is in one country allowed isn't allowed in another. In a way, if Prince Andrew had been accused of the things he still denies he did in one country, it might be legal. I don't know the ins and outs of age of consent laws all over the world. But in other countries, it's illegal. And I don't know. I guess the same is true about sex working. But that's really a moot point here. Because as far as I can tell, the lady who was talking about underage in all those cases. Yes. I think in America, whatever age she mentioned there, she's talking about something illegal. Also, she contradicted herself. If you listen closely to what she said that in her view, Jeffrey Epstein liked girls who looked younger than they are. And then he said, but he'd like passerbys to think that they're older than they are. Total contradiction. The interesting thing here isn't so much about Epstein. Epstein's dead in very unusual circumstances. So the longer this goes on, the more one might suspect he didn't kill himself. The bigger problem for everybody here is what's going on in terms of Epstein's motivations. And these rumors swirling around, they won't be resolved until everything's published. And even then, there's an outside chance they won't be. But just like Virginia Giuffre, who weirdly committed suicide, though she did say, if people say I committed suicide, they're lying, I was killed. That's what Virginia Giuffre said, or Giuffre, as you have to say it. In her case, both Epstein and her carry on causing the most incredible trouble after their deaths. And the most interesting thing is neither of them can be intimidated anymore. So I wonder, there's that big question, why won't Donald Trump publish all of this when it was, from a gossip point of view, certainly one of the biggest promise he made to his loyal fan base, that he would publish everything, and he hasn't. There must be some reason.
Yes, absolutely. I think you're bang on there. There is lots and lots of stuff that we have to get into when it comes to this. Mark Onza.
Yeah, I've got to say, I agree with Margie Taylor Greene. She's asking questions we all want to answering. And as far as Donald Trump goes, I mean, I've been a massive fan of Donald Trump for a while, and I'm puzzled. Why have we not seen no visible arrests? You know, I'm fed up of hearing about this Epstein. We know he's done it. You've got this. It's time we saw some arrests, Warren, and stop beating around bush.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right, especially when you see things like this. This is Stacey Plaskett, I should say, and getting a text message during a congressional meeting with Jeffrey, a congressional meeting from Jeffrey Epstein.
Obama was president of the United States. And while we were once driving through a struggling neighborhood in Chicago, he commented that only black people could live that way. Attorney-client privilege, yes, I will turn it over.
You, as my friend Mr. Meadows pointed out, misled this committee even today in a written submission that contradicted your testimony. You have suggested you are going to review that. Are you going to review it in our next break to correct the record, yes or no?
Yes.
Question, you helped out the president's campaign or were involved in the campaign as a representative, as a spokesman, even in your words today. It was your idea for the campaign dating back to 2011. Is that accurate, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals, Ms. Rona. Who are those individuals? Are they with the Trump Organization?
They are.
Are there other people that we should be meeting with?
So Alan Weisselberg is the chief financial officer.
Uh-huh. You got to quickly give us as many names as you can so we can get to them.
Yes, ma'am.
Is Ms. Rona, what is Ms. Rona's position?
Rona Graff is the Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his, and she's involved in a lot that went on.
So there's Epstein supplying a member of the Congressional House Committee investigating Donald Trump with the actual name of the person, so that they can ask the person who's being questioned in front of the Oversight Committee, Lenby.
How do we know that's authentic?
We do, because it's been confirmed.
Okay, I'm working on the assumption it is authentic. Two things strike me as quite remarkable. Number one, Jeffrey Epstein seems to be undermining Donald Trump in that interaction, which would tend to play in Donald Trump's favor at this point. The second interesting thing is the extent to which Jeffrey Epstein had this remarkable control over politicians. Democrat again.
Yeah, quite staggering, isn't it? But let's have a little look at this as well, because this is Thomas Massey, and he's not very happy because, of course, Trump said some fairly nasty things. It's all got very, very unseemly. Let's have a little look at this.
Here, people say, well, why isn't it easy to come out as a victim? And when I was at this press conference with these women, the depth of the evil I didn't understand until they spoke it, which was as 14-year-old girls, they were told by a friend at high school, come over to this old guy's house, give him a massage, and you can make $200. By the way, he's got a nice swimming pool and all this other stuff. All you got to do is give him a massage. The massage turned into something else completely, and he had their phone number, and then through the shame of it, he compelled them to show up at his beck and call whenever he wanted. And this is where it gets really evil. The only way they could get out of it, of showing up and performing sexual favors for Jeffrey Epstein, was if they found another girl at their high school who would do it in their place. And so they were coerced into, and one of the survivors broke down in tears because she admitted, she just said, listen, I was faced with finding a girl for him to take my place or going back there and doing that, and I found another girl. And so what happens is now, people are still doing this, even after they know these are 15-year-old girls who were coerced into it by an adult man. They're saying, oh, you were a sex trafficker. You trafficked these women. But they don't, I didn't really fully grasp how evil this is. Like, it's one thing to do evil things to people, but to make them do evil things. And then once he causes you to be implicated, then you don't want to come out, because then that's what happens to you. Now, there are people asking, well, why don't these women release the names? And the reason is these are billionaires like that. So what happened is Epstein, once they got to the age of consent, they weren't exciting to him anymore. And he would traffic them to his friends. Now, so you might, at this point, they're going to say, oh, well, there were prostitutes. They were 18. They were age of consent. Jeffrey Epstein was giving them something. And then they did, sexual things with these men. And so what happens is those men who have billions of dollars, they had money to pay off police departments, to lose reports, to pay off judges. What they would typically do is they would, a lot of these girls were from families that weren't very affluent. The family would end up with $150,000 up to $500,000 of money, and the girl wouldn't testify. So basically, that's one of the things they would do. But now they would just sue them into poverty for defamation. And if you don't have the power that the government has to discover these facts, then you can't contest the defamation case well enough. And the process is the punishment. They basically go broke just trying to hold up their name.
So there we go. That's Lembit, your thoughts on that?
It's new to me. Once again, two thoughts. One is a general one. The process there, you'd have to become really very cynical to think that all of these stories are made up. You'd have to be tremendously cold-hearted to think all these girls, I assume they're all girls, all these girls were just lying. I just don't believe it. One of the problems with abuse in the United Kingdom is the abuser often accuses the abused. I've seen it. And then the abused get stuck in the abuse cycle because they don't think they're going to be believed. And so I understand this psychological aspect because it destroys people, destroys families, ultimately often destroys the abuser who can't be saved. And so I believe it. It just feels credible, partly because it's just so terrible. And it makes sense because money talks. And adding this to the previous clip with the lady, if he essentially had unlimited wealth for whatever reason, he could indulge in this activity. Now, the second and even bigger thing, what possesses a person to be so obsessed with underage sex, which to some extent contradicts what that lady said earlier on? What possesses somebody to be so obsessed with it that they seem to base their entire life around it? And really, is this some kind of an addiction? And what is it that's missing in their hollow, vapid, sociopathic lives that keeps them perpetrating the same thing again and again and again? It obviously doesn't work because they have to keep doing it. It's an addiction, and it has very real consequences for people around him in the same way that other addictions do.
Very much it does. Robert?
It's not an addiction by Mossad. It's a wonderful business and an operating tool by which they can control everyone involved.
Well, you assume that we know it's Mossad, and we don't.
Yeah.
That's a suggestion. It's a theory. I have to tell you, I haven't seen evidence to prove that. I know it's one of the theories spinning around. There are other theories, the FBI, other foreign nationals. So we may have a favorite, but nothing's been proved yet. And perhaps we will get the answer to the question, sir, if they actually have to publish everything.
Let's hope so. In the meantime, the fallout then, before we go on to some bits and pieces here, I'm withdrawing my support. Marjorie Taylor Greene, great state of Georgia, no men in women's sports. I've done this, I've done that. All I see is wacky Marjorie do is complain. It seemed to all begin when I sent her a poll stating she should not run for senator or governor. She was at 12%, didn't have a chance. Marjorie Taylor Greene completely denies this and says the only conversation she had with Trump was to keep texting him, say, why aren't they releasing the Epstein files? I didn't have a chance unless, of course, she had my endorsement. She has told many people she is upset that I don't return her calls anymore. But with 219 Congress women, 53 US senators, 24 cabinet members, blah, 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 they will have my complete and unyielding support. She has gone far left, even doing The View with the low IQ Republican-hating anchors. So he's withdrawn her support, and they're going to be actively campaigning to get rid of Marjorie Taylor Greene at the next cycle. Getting rid of your MAGA base seems a bit crazy, Lembit.
Yeah, it doesn't add up though. I don't personally, as somebody been in politics for 4 decades, I don't buy the fact that he'd be doing this just because he wants the Epstein files published. And here's why. A lot of his supporters want that. The majority, I would say, of his voter base want that. I want that. You want that. Yes. If he starts picking off individuals, it's just going to fail because it's like wriggling in quicksand. It just makes it worse. So he may have reasons to not support her, but we already know that there are some Republicans who are distinctly uncomfortable. And remember, there's the big nuclear option for the victims. They can get a sympathetic congressperson to simply read out the names. under the protection of the privilege that you get as a politician in the British American system. So they can't get away from this. So whatever his gripe, I don't think it's necessarily this.
Okay.
That's just my view.
No, that's a fine shout. I think we have to sort of look at this now, because this is becoming something that is of a concern. There are people going out and are burning the MAGA hats and all the rest of it. Let's have a little look at this. Let's get this up for you. Here we go. Have a look at this, Lambert. See what you think.
Went to in 2016, 17 when he came to Kansas and did a rally for Chris Kobach.
Can't hear anything.
Donald Trump's former MAGA supporters are making videos of themselves and posting it across social media where they're burning their MAGA hats, their MAGA.
Now, this is pretty much a Democrat podcast, so I'm not going to play sort of that. But that has been happening, Lambert. I've checked it out. And something else that's happening, which to me seems... But now, of all the things I would get very angry with Donald Trump for, and there are things, that I think he's got horribly wrong. This is about as horrible as it gets. Did Thomas Massey, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr., because of the fact that he always votes against the Republican Party, get married already? Boy, that was quick. No wonder the polls have him at less than 8% chance of winning the election. Anyway, have a great life, Thomas. And his wife will soon find out that she's stuck with a loser. That's a pretty idiotic. I mean, it's childish beyond belief, Lambert, isn't it?
I don't know who Thomas Massey is. I'm sorry.
He's a Republican senator who also wants the Epstein files out.
All right. Well, for some reason, Trump doesn't want the Epstein files out. And hopefully when they're published, and I think they need to be published, we'll find out why. But it's hard to know why at the moment. Trump takes dislikes to people quite quickly at times. I happen to think that he's got a very good assessment of Vladimir Zelensky, who I think he doesn't respect. I don't think he respects Keir Starmer. I doubt he respects David Lammy. So I do agree with him a lot of the time. And he does like Viktor Orban, and I think that's a good thing. And I think he has a grudging respect for Xi Jinping, Putin, and Kim Jong-un. So his judgment's usually quite good. There's quite a lot going on in these comments and quotations. I don't know quite what the story is. I know that you're trying to create a circumstantial case saying that he's intimidating people who want to have the Epstein files published, and that's quite legitimate. It could be it's one of the things he doesn't like about them. Maybe it's the main thing. But back to the central point, I don't think he can stop the information coming out anymore. I just don't think so. It was all a bit fake having 20,000 documents released, because a lot of that was in the public domain anyway.
Yes.
The big question is, if it all comes out, will we find the answer to whether foreign governments are involved, who was at the island, and what do they all say afterwards? The interesting thing is there's tons of video, and I'm sure there are people who already know who was there and what they were doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark Chamberlain?
Yeah, I wanted to say that I don't think there's just one Epstein thing. I think it's been duplicated and twisted round. I think there's more than one folder or whatever you want to call it. But I think it's a very dangerous time for Trump. Definitely.
Yeah. And we got some people think he's knee deep in it. Some people don't think he's done anything wrong, and certainly there's no proof of him doing anything wrong so far. And there's no proof of anybody. You could turn around and say there's no proof of anybody doing anything wrong, but these people aren't coming out and saying it. Now, you will know that we are in the middle of a massive investigation into the book that has already been entered into evidence. So there is nothing wrong with actually coming out with the names. It's out there. but most of these people don't know what the names are or who they represent on these sheets that we're seeing in the Epstein book. Now, we've taken the Epstein book and the Epstein flight logs, every single name, and we're going through it bit by bit to really be able to have a handle on who these people are and who did he know. Now, in no way does this mean that they have done anything wrong, okay? That's an absolute fact. But what we have been doing is going through it systematically, bit by bit. As you can see, this is the unredacted copy of Jeffrey Epstein's book, okay? And there are names all over there. And of course, that is, once again, it is an address book. It doesn't mean that they've done anything wrong whatsoever. But what we have done is we've started looking at it, and I'm just going to give you, for instance, the first 10 pages of what we happen to know about those people that are in the book. Once again, I stress, doesn't mean they've done anything wrong. So let's have a brief rundown of the first 10 pages of Jeffrey Epstein's little black book, and you can see where we are, and there is a lot of work still to do. Now, I did not search for paedophilia and other illegal ties into most of these people because we don't have the time at the moment, and this has taken over 100 hours as it is. But anyway, I hope something strikes of interest for you in someone, and maybe we can get a little bit more out of this situation to understand how much is going on. So we're going to go through some of the names for you. One of those names on there is quite an interesting one, as I think you will think. Her name is Joanna Albelsman, and that's Albelsman, I should say. And this is the lady here. And of course, we'll be showing you more and more pictures as the investigation gets under, or shall we say, as more and more of the investigation comes out. Now, she is an investment officer at the International Finance Corporation, a sister organization of the World Bank, and a former strategic consultant at Booz & Company, based in Abu Dhabi, working with public and private sector clients across the Middle East and North Africa. Nick Adam, we are still looking at. Alejandro Agag, a former politician in Spain, became Secretary General of the European People's Party, or the EPP, a tremendous political faction in Europe. Agag played a huge role in getting former Italy PM Silvio Berlusconi's party into the EPP. Berlusconi has, of course, been charged for underage prostitution in the past, and Agag quit politics to pursue financial and sporting interests. He's married to the daughter of Jose Maria Aznar, the former PM of Spain, and Ana Botella Serrano, the first female mayor of Madrid. And of course, guests at Agag's wedding included kings, queens, Berlusconi and Tony Blair served as witnesses. Also on the list are Marie Claire and John Agnew. John Agnew is a big-time banker out of London. He's a former joint head of Morgan Stanley's London office, long history of working at various trusts. His father-in-law, Jeffrey Agnew, was the chairman of Thomas Agnew and Sons, a massive fine art dealer in London. Marie Claire Agnew is John Agnew's wife. Her father, Bernard Dressman, was the chairman of Morley's department stores in London. Azadine Alia is a deceased shoe designer. Tons of celebrities used to wear his shoes. Rufus and Sally Albemarle. Rufus Keppel, the 10th Earl of Albemarle. The Keppel bloodline has served as the Earl of Albemarle since the late 1600s and have ties to the British royal family. Rufus Keppel is the same great-grandfather as Camilla Parker Bowles, Prince Charles's wife. Alex Keppel, who married the 7th Earl of Albemarle, is Rufus's great-uncle and was a long-time mistress of King Edward VII. Alice Keppel was Camilla Parker Bowles' great-grandmother. Camilla was particularly fond of her. Rufus and Sally have since divorced. She was a sculptor. One of the other people on in the Epstein book is Saffron Aldridge, a former Ralph Lauren model in the 80s and the 90s. Pam Alexander was a PR agent, or is a PR agent, to the technological stars. She has become the most powerful woman in the technology industry and among the most powerful in the PR industry, and she attended billionaire dinners with Epstein. Giacomo Algaranti is a London art dealer. Paul Allen is the co-founder of Microsoft. Paul Allen was the owner of the Portland Trail Blazers and the Seattle Seahawks. Nicholas and Sarah Allen. Nicholas Allen is a former partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers, a financial consulting firm worth billions. He is now chairman of Link REIT, the largest real investment trust in Asia. Charlie Althorpe, better known to us as Charles Spencer, the 9th Earl Spencer, the younger brother of Princess Diana and the maternal uncle of Prince William and Prince Harry. Queen Elizabeth II is his godmother, or was his godmother. Corella Allen Jones, wife of James McGregor, founder of the McGregor Group, an organisation that does consulting work with health insurers. Jeremy and Deborah Allen Jones. Jeremy, CEO at ADM Capital, a large investment firm, and Deborah Allen Jones, an author. Senior Vincenti Alvarez, he was president of the New York Central Labor Council, Class C director of the Federal Reserve of New York. That is a position that is appointed by the Board of Governors. Then we have Philip Ammon, owner and manager of SICPA, a Swiss company and universal leader that specializes in the printing of banknotes, passports, lottery tickets, identity documents. SICPA literally prints money and passports. Excuse me, I'm suffering from a very heavy cough. Morris and Roberta Amon. Morris is Philip's brother. Morris left SIPA, but may have had an equal role to Philip had he stayed. Robert Amon is Morris's ex-wife. Roberta Amon, sorry, is Morris's ex-wife. Lisa Anastos was a general counsel for Payphone, a digital identity authentication network. She previously worked in the law department of Goldman Sachs and was general counsel for American Express. Lulu Anderson, the only lead we can find with pictures of this woman was named as party guest of Roger Waters of Pink Floyd fame. Robert and Alex Appleby. Robert is a co-founder of ADM Capital, a large investment firm. And of course, Mati Arango, Vice President, Board of Directors for Grupo, which manages Starbucks, TGI Fridays, and other chain companies. Arango is also chairman of the board for Ashoka, a company that ironically focuses on the betterment of today's youth. It even has its own schools. And Victor Aurelio is vice chairman of the board of Bacardi. He is a fifth-generation descendant of the founder of Bacardi. Joaquin Fernandez de Aron, Spanish royalty, the 10th Duke of Aragon. His mother is Princess Beatrice Langenberg, married to Diana Lang Swarovski, the great-great-grandfather of Daniel Swarovski, founder of the crystal manufacturer. Fernando Arion, Joaquin's brother, also Spanish royalty. Arthur and Kathy Armstrong. Arthur is co-author of Net Gain in 1997, which focused on web-based business models. He's currently an executive at Du Bois and Plimpton LLP, a high-end international law firm. Herb and Marina Anon. Herb Anon is the president of Didier Aron, a premier art gallery. Lorinda Ash is a fine art dealer with associations, of course, to Grupo and ties with Mati Arango, who we've just spoken about. Ashley and Allegra Hicks. Ashley is the godson of Prince Philip, second cousin of Prince Charles, and an interior designer. Nick and Ari Ashley, home designer and photographer. Vittorio and Charlotte Assi, they are the co-founders of Serafina Restaurant Group. Mr. Simeon Astaire, Hollywood and British royal family agent, specialises in representation, celebrity endorsement and public relations. Viscount William Astor, member of the House of Lords, which creates and shapes laws. Chairman of the television company Silvergate Media. Then there's Helen Aitken, the niece of Robert Maxwell, media magnate, father of Ghislaine Maxwell, and suspected Mossad agent. We do say suspected. Jose Aznar, the Prime Minister of Spain from 1996 to 2004, who's the father-in-law, of course, of Alejandro Agag, mentioned above, used public funds for personal means, granted a posthumous Medal of Civil Merit to a high-profile member of the Francoist government who was infamous for torturing people. Jean Badley, former personal assistant to Robert Maxwell. Maxwell left her a £100,000 legacy when he died. Peter Barak, technological advisor, co-founder of ASOR Partners, an advisory firm that provides advice to corporations. Danny Baker, the recently fired BBC host. Of course, they're turning around and saying that it is him. We are not so sure that he lives in New York. So, Danny, if you're out there, give us a contact. I know you're from Millwall. Shahira Bakhtir is suspected to be a very high-end real estate investor in Sweden. Andrei Balsas, the real estate mogul and entrepreneur, owns several hotels through New York and London, as well as residential real estate. He was engaged to actress Uma Thurman for 3 years and dated Chelsea Handler for 2 years on. He is the one who allegedly groped Amanda Anker, Jason Bateman's wife, at a party he hosted for Jennifer Aniston and Justin Theroux. We've got Alex Baldwin, the popular American actor, and George and Alice Barnford. They are offspring of Sir Anthony and Lady Carol Barnford. George is a luxury watchmaker. And, of course, Sir Anthony Bamford and Lady C. Anthony is a billionaire British businessman, chairman of JCB, which provides equipment for construction, has donated more than 4 million personally and through JCB companies to the Conservative Party. He has close ties to David Cameron, Tony Blair, and Prince Charles, who keeps propping up in these. Bamford was mentioned in the Panama Papers as having offshore business accounts. Doug Band, the longtime advisor of Bill Clinton, he had a substantial part in the creation and inner workings of the Clinton Foundation. He purchased David Rockefeller's old house in New York City for $20 million. He's been called a key architect in the Clintons' post-presidency. Lembit, there's just some stuff just off the top of my head. There is a hell of a lot more that I've got. But of course, I'm not going to go into that because to do that would take me another 2 hours. And that is just the first 10 pages of the book. So there's a lot of very, very high-end people all over the place here, Lembit, who've ended up in, and we're not saying they've done anything wrong, but there's certainly parties that, and shall we say, inner workings, and none of these people, as far as I know, Lembit, come out and admitted to knowing Epstein at all.
Well, I don't know any of those people. I can't make any comment, really. I think the only thing that's going to resolve this is independent corroboration about the nature and status of the relationships, or most likely the publication of everything. While you were talking, I got thinking about this. How do we know that evidence isn't being destroyed?
Yes. Yeah, we don't. We absolutely don't. I think that's I think it's a very important thing. Well, the thing that I don't understand, and I've said it before, that's why I read out some names there, because this is quite easy to do. This is a black book, the address book that has been admitted into evidence in a court case. So it's not like we're doing anything wrong by saying, look, here's the names in the book. This is what they did. You know, this is what they work at. Why has nobody come out?
Well, I can't answer that. It's like a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
Why? Because they say they haven't done anything. So why would they come out? What do they have to tell us? They say, okay, so we knew him. I've known bad people. I worked with Hugh Edwards. I didn't realize he was guilty of spending money on very bad paedophile videos and whatever else he did. I can't think of immediately of some other people that have done bad things, but I've known those people. And never made a secret of it. So just guilt by association doesn't work for me. Has to be more.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But at least look at that. I mean, took 2 seconds to come out and go, yeah, I knew who Edwards But that's it, end of story.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
I can't see why people can't do that. Okay, but we'll put it on the back burner then.
You can maybe other viewers have got a different view. I'm only telling you what I think. It doesn't make me right.
Yeah. But as I say, I can't understand why nobody's just come out and gone, look, I attended a party or I knew him or whatever. Mark Onza.
I think we overlook the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell's still alive, and connection with her father and possible connection with Mossad, obviously. And then also, if we're talking about evidence, who were the first people who went into Epstein's apartment in New York?
Yeah, exactly that.
That's where evidence is.
We'd like to know about that, wouldn't we? Very much so. Talking of evidence, then, let's have some evidence of something that I think is quite important. And let's get into this a little bit, because I would like your thoughts on this. And we're going to sort of lighten the mood a little. But the reason I'm going to play this is a very, very important reason. I think there is a shift in society starting to come over the country, Lembit. Have a look at this. It's not too difficult on the eye. This is Sydney Sweeney having an interview with GQ magazine. And there is a reason for me playing this interview.
Prize. Ooh.
You see the great boots, great shoes too, Kat.
I know. Thanks. We pulled through in the shoe game.
Strong shoe game.
I usually show up in my PJs. For whatever reason, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just actually get dressed. And then everyone liked the outfit. I was like, wow, this is the first time.
I'm so flattered. Okay, so we're good? Okay, well, we're going.
We're going.
Okay. I feel really lucky to be talking to you right now in particular because you're a producer with a film with festival buzz. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does it feel to have Christy out in the world?
Christy is one of those projects and stories that, like, when you're making it, the crew, the cast, everyone involved, we all knew it was going to be something special. We had Christy with us on set many days. We would sometimes just like cry because of how powerful this story is. And so being able to share that experience with the world and to be able to show Christy's story to the world is so impactful. And I'm beyond honored and proud that we were able to bring this story to life.
In the beginning, it's also really fun. For context, like, you've got headgear on.
Yes.
You've got a mouth guard in.
Yes.
And you are grinning as you punch people.
Mm-hmm.
And you look completely unself-conscious and completely joyful. First of all, was it as much fun as it looked?
It was so much fun. I was over the moon. I felt like I finally came to life myself through Christy. We really shaped every single fight to match Christy's fights. And so all the different combos that you see me doing are the actual combos from the fights. And I had the best girls to box with because they were down to actually fight. And we would do full contact. We were punching each other in the face. And so a lot of those reactions are me as Christy, but also me just like couldn't believe that I actually did it just then.
So you have a background in martial arts.
I do.
Okay, so tell me about that. You're what, 13?
Yeah, I was like 12, 13, and I started kickboxing and grappling. And I trained at Gokor Hayastan with Sensei Jean LaBelle and Benny Leggett and Gokor. And I did that from 12, 13 years old until I was about 19, and then I booked Handmaid's Tale and Euphoria, and I was like, oh, I can't I can't fight and film at the same time because I'd come home with bruises. So I put it to the side, but I always wanted to find a story that would be able to bring that side of myself out.
But you're a 13-year-old girl. Like, what does fighting give you at that time in your life?
The element of surprise. Ooh. I was the only girl there. So it was a lot of talk of, oh, what is she doing here? The dads were kind of a little like upset that their sons would be fighting a girl. And then I would sometimes win.
Okay, so I have this sense that you're someone who keeps a strong division between your characters and your personal self. And I just wondered if that is harder when you've done this physical transformation for a character like Christy. Like, you come home or come back to your hotel room, like, in her body in some ways.
I actually learned so much more about myself throughout the process. And I am someone who I build my book for my character, and I learn everything about her life so that I can fully jump in and out. And throughout that process of building Christy and working with Christy and filming the movie, I started realizing, I was like, oh wow, I actually have more in common with her than I realized. She is fighting a fight in her home life, and she's also fighting a fight in the public. And I think that for me, I find myself in a lot of battles, both in front and not in front of the world. So I definitely can relate.
I mean, Christy is a story about domestic violence and specifically like homophobia in domestic violence. And The Housemaid, which I also saw, takes on domestic violence from in a totally different genre. And then I did read that your American Eagle collection benefited a domestic violence charity. Is that, did I have all that right?
Yes.
Okay. We spent a lot of time this year working around that issue, and I just wondered if it meant something to you.
It does. I always speak out about something that is important to me. And for me to speak out, I use art. And I think that through my characters in my movies, it's a way for me to be able to do my part that I can and spread awareness in different ways through my characters. And that's how I've always learned to communicate. And it's really important.
If I look at your IMDb page,
okay,
I'm thinking about, you know, you're on Euphoria, which is a show that covers a lot of topics without, you know, taking a moral stance on any of them. And you did Reality, which I love, which like brought a lot of attention and humanity to the story of Reality Winner, the whistleblower. It does not look like a very political career, but you have become very swept up in politics. And so I wondered if that has surprised you as you put your ideas and yourself into art, not commentary.
All new Jollibee Burger Steak. Bigger patty, more sauce. 70 pesos now.
I've always believed that I'm not here to tell people what to think. I'm just here to kind of open their eyes to different ideas. And so I think that's why I gravitate towards characters and stories that are complicated and are maybe morally questionable, and characters that are on the page hard to like, but then you find the humanity underneath them. And that's what I've always leaned towards.
I think a lot of people feel like it's better for art if artists can keep themselves a little bit separate from politics.
Yeah, I've never talked about my personal life.
I know. So what I'm going to do is talk about your year as a phenomenon in the culture, okay? And a big thing that happened to you this year is that you ended your engagement, and I got push notifications about it. It was, and we all sort of looked up and were like, oh, Sydney Sweeney isn't just a talented actress and an up-and-coming producer. She's someone that people are really obsessed with and really fascinated by.
Oh man.
I know. And I wondered, did your sense of your own fame change this year?
No. I surround myself with a really, really strong group of people who have been in my life since I was little. And they take me out of Hollywood, take me out of this bubble, and remind me what the real world is. And that's where I exist. The idea of fame, it doesn't apply to my personal life. I'm just a
you can't feel the difference in the volume at times?
If I turn on my phone, yes. If I have my phone off and I'm home, no.
Right. Okay. So what is it like now being single? Are you single?
I'm single.
Okay, you're single. You are out there now as a person who has a lot of power, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Person who people are obsessed with, and someone who I gather is like really, really focused on their work.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, how does that change what you're looking for?
I don't think I'm looking for a man right now. What I've learned this year is that I have a really, really amazing group of girlfriends, and I am strong and independent, and that I'm going to be okay. If love finds me, love finds me. I'm hopeless romantic, so I hope love finds me, but I'm not the type of person that wants to go out all the time, and I do believe in like true love and wanting to be with someone for the rest of my life. So you won't see me jumping around a lot of places.
Wait, jumping around a lot of places like
guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are making Anyone But You, and there's sort of, what do we call it, like a game almost with sort of letting rumors build about you and Glenn, and we all now know that was a projection, let's say, on our parts. That wasn't real. But it occurred to me that maybe that story doesn't go so viral if you're not a very private person. I imagine there are personal benefits to being private about your personal life. But are there also professional benefits to being private about your personal life?
The professional benefits for me and being private is for my own just health and sanity. If I let everybody in all the time, I have nothing for myself. And I am just a 27-year-old, or I'm 28 now. I turned 28 yesterday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. But I'm just a 28-year-old woman who's trying to figure it out. And I'm still learning, and I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to grow. And I think that it's important to be able to do that without having to say every single thing all the time.
Right. Okay. But so you're never tempted to just like open your notes app and say, this is what I really think, and this is who I am, and this is what's going on in my life, and like stop guessing and projecting?
I mean, I'll vent to my girlfriends, but other than that, no.
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 Okay. That's honestly really impressive. Like,
I know who I am.
Right.
I know what I value. I know that I'm a kind person. I know that I love a lot. And I know that I'm just excited to see what happens next. And so I don't really let other people define who I am.
I'm happy to hear that. I have a lot of secondhand concern for you lately.
Thank you.
We're sort of talking around this American Eagle ad right now, and maybe we should just talk about it. So, were you surprised by the reaction?
I did a jean ad. I mean, the reaction definitely was a surprise, but it was, I love jeans. All I wear are jeans. I'm literally in jeans and a t-shirt like every day of my life.
Jeans are uncontroversial. Jeans are awesome.
I like your jeans.
You look great in your jeans. I think I know how you're going to answer this, but I'm going to ask anyway. I mean, the president tweeted about the jeans ad, or Truth Socialed about the jeans ad, and that just seems to me like a very crazy moment for anyone, and I wondered what that was like.
It was surreal.
It was surreal.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be totally human. I would probably feel like thankful that somebody had my back in public, you know, and conveniently some very powerful people had my back in public. And I wondered if you felt that way.
I don't think that it's not that feeling I didn't have that feeling, but I wasn't thinking of it like that, or like of any of it. I kind of just put my phone away. I was filming every day. I'm filming Euphoria, so I'm working like 16-hour days, and I don't really bring my phone on set, so I work and then I go home and I go to sleep. So I didn't really see a lot of it.
You've made a really good case for keeping your thoughts and your life separate from that work. But the risk is that, you know, there's a chance that somebody will get some idea about what you think about certain issues and feel like, I don't want to see Christy because of that. Like, do you worry about that?
No. If somebody is closed off because of something they read online to a powerful story like Christy, then I hope something else can open their eyes to being open to art and being open to learning, and I'm not gonna be affected by that.
Yeah. You've come here like really willing to talk about this whole discourse that doesn't have that much to do with you, and I'm grateful for that. Is there something that you want to say about the ad itself? The Sydney Sweeney has great genes. Do you have...
The ad spoke for itself.
You think the ad spoke for itself? Okay. Yeah. And the criticism of the content, which was basically that maybe specifically in this political climate, like white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority. Like that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
We should talk about Cassie. You got back together with Cassie. You spent some time in Cassie.
So the whole reason for that interview, Lambert, I spoke to a good friend of mine. The whole reason for that interview was literally to line her up to see if she wanted to apologise in any way for being basically white, smart, and hot. The nonsense that in some way that she has to apologise. And of course, this is blown up on the internet. So this is now becoming sort of like a major story. This has dominated the internet. And of course, if you don't like it, you can always pop off. Very, very simply, Lambert, she shouldn't be apologising for anything, should she? She just did an advert.
Yeah, I didn't really feel that the whole thing was about that. I think it's because a lot of people will watch the interview because it's Sydney Sweeney. You obviously need to apologise. I've seen the advert. It's just an advert designed to appeal to females and say that you can look like Sydney Sweeney if you wear the jeans. It's very normal. That's why Lewis Hamilton gets sponsorship for whatever it is he sponsors. That's why McElroy gets sponsorship. There's this interesting thing that human beings do. They like to associate with famous people, and that applies to everyone. That's why so many people have bought the MAGA hat, because they like to support Trump. I wish I could get a brand like that going for unprecedented TV.
Yeah. I mean, had it been Halle Berry or had it been Salma Hayek turning around and saying we've got great genes, or, you know, saying that Salma Hayek or Halle Berry had great genes, we wouldn't have heard any more about it, would we?
It's just a funny line. Just a funny line. You got great genes. Mildly ambiguous and amusing line. I don't know much about American Eagle, but I think they're a very successful business, and why wouldn't they use her? I have to say that I'm quite fond of Halle Berry in her earlier years. I think she did a fantastic performance in the controversial and, in my view, best film that Warren Beatty has produced and created, which is called Bulworth. It really gave her big break. And judge people on this, they're always going to get haters. I get haters on the internet, on the social media. I've been challenging the British Broadcasting Corporation over the day about a series of ridiculous mistakes they've been making about environmental reporting today. And I've already had haters. It is what it is. Doesn't matter. I'd have those haters if I was black, if I was gay, if I was a woman. I just don't get excited about stuff like that. I didn't think, I have to tell you, I didn't think the interviewer was really that great there. Note to self, when I get Sydney Sweeney on unprecedented TV, I hope I'll do a rather more snazzy interview than that. I thought it was badly set up. I thought it was badly framed. I thought her questioning was rambling. I thought that her interference in Sydney Sweeney's personal life, and she'd already made it clear she didn't want to talk about it, was unnecessary. I would have asked different questions of Sydney Sweeney. I would probably have actually asked her about this issue. Say, how do you feel about 21st century woke? And just talk about it. And I've just accepted whatever answer she said. My main takeaway from what I thought was a slightly uninspired interview by the woman, whoever she is that when you got a celebrity like that, you have to do a hell of a lot better to make the thing work.
I think the whole thing was basically to set her up for that. But of course, we've had the likes of Keira Knightley and people like that coming out now. But the main thing was there.
What's Keira Knightley said?
Well, Keira Knightley came out. She was asked about the trans issue and J.K. Rowling and everything else because she'd done a talk she'd done some dubbing over on the animation for Harry Potter. And she was asked about the trans issue. Again, they try to make it about it. And Keira Knightley said, well, I don't really know. I haven't paid it any attention. And we are now seeing a group of Jennifer Lawrence has turned around and said, nobody wants to hear what I've got to say on politics. We're now seeing I think we're seeing a shift away from all that wokeness in Hollywood to much more, shall we say, getting on with acting. I'm just wondering if Hollywood have actually learnt the lesson.
No, they haven't yet. But the thing is that I still meet people who think that Kamala Harris would have been a good president. Somebody actually said to me that if Joe Biden had stood again, he'd have won. So there's no real accounting for that. The whole BBC debacle has pretty much proved what I was saying publicly over a year ago, in fact, during the presidential election, that the BBC was absolutely determined to try to prevent Donald Trump from winning, and they lamented his success. Well, those people aren't going to be convinced. They're not going to change their views. They're not going to suddenly realize that their position on climate is preposterous. There was a woman on something called Global Eye, which sounds like a parody program on the BBC, that I was watching today, and she said Brazil had the Atlantic forest, which used to cover 1 million square meters. You mean 1 square kilometer, which is less than Hyde Park. So people who can make such crass and embarrassing mistakes aren't going to be persuaded by common sense, because anybody who thinks about it for more than a moment will know that 1 million square meters is 1 square kilometer. That would be 3 large car parks.
Okay.
Maybe 5 large car parks. So no, I don't think it's going to change. What will happen is those people will be sidelines and then feel like victims.
I'm hoping you're right.
Well, I hope I'm right. Maybe that's what I'd like to see. I don't want the whole of the media world, the political world, to carry on with this charade. It is a charade. Charade, I think it's probably the right word. And it is a charade because it doesn't add value to society. It distracts us all from talking about the real things. And if somebody wants to have a sex change, that's up to them. But it doesn't really affect me unless I have a sex change, really, or unless I want to have a relationship with them. And therefore, I think what's happened is the BBC's been desperately badly called out. And I use them as an example because they are iconic of the problem, really. Iconic of the problem. And I would say that Trump is somewhat iconic of the solution. And Sydney Sweeney, I don't know. I couldn't glean from that interview where she stands, but she does seem like a fairly normal, averages but good-looking woman who can sing whatever she does. Does she sing? She's singing.
Number 5 wanted to have a word. I don't know who number 5 is. Number 5.
It's me. It's me, Eric. For some reason, it's assigning me numbers lately. I'm wondering, is this hat burning another stunt like the von der Leyen plane or whatever? You know what I'm saying?
Say that again, buddy. Sorry.
Another NGO-backed stunt. In other words, it's not a homegrown.
Yeah, I mean, it could well be, couldn't it? It could well be. When we're talking about, let's get on to this because this is time is slipping away from us. NGO, we're talking about NGO-backed stunts there. Lembit, I don't know whether you're aware of this. Have you seen this flag in Indonesia?
No.
What about, shall we say, this flag in Madagascar?
No, but it looks similar.
Not familiar with that one? Okay. How about, let's have, what should we look at next?
I've never been to Indonesia or Madagascar, I have to say.
This flag in Nepal.
No, but I see a pattern.
While we're on the subject, because obviously there's Nepal, Madagascar, and Indonesia there. There's been some riots, hasn't there, in Mexico? And I wonder what might have gone on in Mexico. Oh, look, there's a flag and a gentleman wearing a T-shirt, Lembit.
That looks familiar.
Does, doesn't it? And shall we have a little look at this as well? So this is, of course, an NGO that is everywhere. This is the Moreno Party in the Mexican Parliament. You recognise the flag in the background there, Lembit?
It looks like the other four. What is it?
Now, this is meant to be the Gen Z manga and everything else. And of course, many people know it for what it really is a representation of the old Skull and Bones. The American NGO money is behind all of this. That's Madagascar, Indonesia, Nepal, and now Mexico.
Well, I don't know. If it suggests a conspiracy, then the flag is a smoking gun. The Gen Z thing, well, that's why I didn't know about it, because I'm not Gen Z. I'm 3 times older than Gen Z or more. I would say that it's possible, I suppose, that there's some kind of alliance there. I think the World Economic Forum's far bigger problem, because if Gen Z gets organized, well, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it'll push back. I'm not sure, unless they've been totally and utterly indoctrinated about the climate.
Yeah, I think you could be right there. While we're on people getting organised, then while we're talking about Gen Z, they're all signing up for the Green Party, Lembit. Are they a danger because they're now in second place in the UK?
They're not a danger because they can't get the organisational part right. That's the biggest problem for Reform UK as well, as it happens. Reform UK could win by default because the sheer momentum is so great. But what the Greens do is they leech votes from the Labour Party and from the Liberal Democrats. The reason they're doing well is because Zach Polanski is quite a characterful individual. I hope to interview him for Unprecedented TV. I have nothing in common with his view on climate, but it would be an enjoyable conversation. Perhaps that's why I'd like to talk with him. This is because in the absence of strong and credible narratives in British politics, those individuals are being replaced now by, those narratives are being replaced by individuals, characterful Nigel Farage, characterful Zach Polanski. They knock Ed Davey, Kemi Badenoch, Keir Starmer out of the park. Of the 3, Kemi Badenoch's a little bit more interesting than the other 2. But really, people are just saying we're sick of this. So we'll just go for charisma. If a party comes along with a really strong, robust narrative, they could do very well. And there are 1 or 2 parties I'm watching. They're getting ready to make that move. And if the others don't get themselves sorted out, it could be the public say, this is what we want. Could be a good example. Why do you drive a Volvo? They're boring. Well, they're not that boring, but they're very reliable. And then my dad had a Volvo and I got a Volvo. And that actually is what happened to me, literally with a Volvo. Why do you fly with, think of a good airline, Aegean, very good airline. Oh, because they're reliable. Oh, do they give you special treatment? Well, not really. They give everyone good treatment. And it's matter of fact. And that's what's missing. Zach Polanski can do well as long as matter of fact politics is missing.
Yeah, I think you could be right. Let's finish with this for the first half of the show. And then we've got some videos to show you, which of course we can't show in the first hour. Let's have a look at this.